This week I'm going to give you a brief introduction to Docker and using Docker containers on your computer. So what's Docker? Well, you can see here what ChatGPT says. It's a way for you to run these containers, and the container has all your code and software that you're going to need for your application, and you're running it inside this self-contained container. So when we are working with virtual machines, think code spaces if you're on GitHub, but we use virtual machines in a lot of different settings. These Docker files are what defines the virtual environment that we're setting up for our users, and those systems will have Docker installed. But you can also use Docker on your personal computer, and that's what we're doing today. So first thing that you need to do is go and install Docker for your computer. All right, so let's say you have Docker installed, and then once that's done, you can open a terminal window or a shell on your computer, and you can run a container. And this right here is what a Docker container, sort of a command to run a Docker container looks like. So let's break this down. The first part, Docker, is just calling Docker run, saying run a container. The -d is a flag to say run in detached setting. The P is the part we're going to care about a lot, and that's going to say what port it's going to run on. So you're going to be opening these in a browser in your computer, and you will be using this syntax here. So it's running on a local host and then : the port. So if you have multiple of these containers running, then you want to be running them on different ports. And then the next part, the Docker getting started here, that is the name of the container that you are using from Docker Hub. So before we run this container, let's head over to Docker Hub and check out this container. Okay, so if I were to do that, so here you can see hub.docker.com, or you can just Google Docker Hub and the name of your container and you'll find it. So anyhow, so if I had done a search, I would get to this page, and you can see Docker getting started. That is the name of the container that's over here on Docker Hub. So this is a container that someone has published. It's an application that we can run. And you can see it's got some basic information about the container. But for us, the important thing is we want to go and check out the tags. Now, when we put it like this, we don't have a colon here. We're not specifying any particular version of this container. So by default, it's going to be getting the latest one. Let's go over here and check out that tag. We click that, and you can see it says latest. So that's the one it's going to be using by default. And let's just take a peek at this. And I want to point out the OS right here part. And I want to point this out because many people may be on Macs with an Apple chip. And so if you're on that kind of Mac, then you need a container that has ARM64 listed. And that will run on your operating system. The rest of you don't have to worry about that. You're going to be able to run on the AMD 64. If you are on a Mac with an Apple chip and you don't see this listed, then you can try running in emulation mode, but just understand it might not work. Like some things do and some things don't. So this is how you would add this right here to your call to run in emulation mode. However, what I'm going to be showing, I went on and I checked to make sure that what I'm showing will run on both Windows and Macs. So I'm only running things that have both here. Okay, great. So now we've got that all sorted out. And now I can run this container. So now I'm hopping back onto my personal computer, and I run this code right here. So It's just going to run their tutorial. What we're going to see the first time that runs is that the first time it needs to download that container. So we're going to see it working a bit. This one's pretty small. It's going to download fast. Okay. And then the next time you run it, it doesn't have to download it again, unless, of course, the container is changed. So once we've done that, we can go and open up the Docker app on our computer. I'm on a Mac, so this is what mine looks like. This is a hop over here. So yeah, this is what it looks like for me. So you can see I have these containers running. They all have weird names because I didn't pass in the name tag to my call. I'll show that in future lectures. But I was running it on port 80, so you can see it's right there. Okay, so now I can see it's running. How do I get to it? Well, so how I get to it is I'm going to open up a browser, and it's running on my local host, and it's running on port 80, so :80. And if I put that in, you're going to see this. So let me hop over there to my browser. So here you go. So you don't see :80 here because I've already typed that in. It took me straight to the application. But that the :80 is what I put into my browser to get here. And you can see I now have this, application. You can look at that. It's just running on my local computer. All right. So yeah, that's it. So if you got this far and you were able to run that code, you have run your first container.